In this lesson, we'll take a few minutes to talk about cleaning up and removing unwanted elements from our scenes. Okay, so at this point now, we've built up several different pieces and sections of our aircraft here. Now, at this point, we have several pieces of unused geometry and curves. So, for example, we have some of these original curves that we used to trim out and cut the shapes, as well as curves that we've used to extrude and build some of these different pieces of geometry. Now, as I mentioned in one of the earlier lessons, it becomes really a good idea to occasionally start to clear some of this unused stuff out of our scene, because really at this point it really serves no purpose. Now, there becomes a little bit of a problem in that if I were to simply come in and just simply select, let's say this curve here, which is being used to actually create this lip around our pilot hole. This is the actual curve that we used to extrude this shape out. If we wanted to remove this, we would not be able to just simply select it and delete it, because you'll notice that as soon as I delete that curve, that lip disappears as well. And the reason for that is that because this piece of geometry is deriving its shape from this curve, if this curve no longer exists, then that means this piece of geometry ceases to exist. So in order to safely remove any unwanted geometry or curves, we need to come in and make sure we freeze the operator stack. So to do this, we can simply come in here and let's just select all the pieces of our geometry, curves included. And I'll just go ahead and right click on this transform menu to collapse that so I can get down to this freeze. So with everything selected, let's go to freeze. That will clear out all the operators, all the history that connects all these different pieces together. And now what I should be able to do, now that that history and the connection between all these different objects has been severed, is I should now be able to come in here and safely remove these unwanted curves. So let's come into this eyeball icon, and I'll just quickly turn off my 3D geometry, which just leaves my curves behind. So now I should be able to grab these different curves, select those, and delete those. Now when I turn my 3D geometry back on, you can see we have our geometry that's still intact, nothing's been interrupted, but now we just have those curves that we've taken out of our scene. So like I said, this becomes a really good idea to occasionally come in here and just start to clear out some of these unwanted elements, just so that they're not contributing to any unwanted file size or any unnecessary computation that may not really need to happen anymore, because we already have what we need out of those pieces of geometry. So just coming in here and taking the time occasionally to clear out some of these unwanted elements just, again, makes the scene much easier to navigate, much easier to work with, and just eliminate some of the visual clutter that we may have. So as we start to progress into our next lesson, we'll start to build some additional pieces onto this airplane's body.